Showing on this episode of Law Weekly, highlights from the meeting of the body of Attorneys General of States of the Federation. We also have highlights from the 2022 Law Week of the Nigerian Bar Association Ikeja branch with the theme 2023, Looking Backwards to Move Forward, plus our weekly recap of the top trending legal stories. Hello and welcome to the program. I am Shola Shoyeli. The body of Attorneys General of States of the Federation, which just ended its meeting in Lagos, has resolved to continue to resist through legal means the FG's attempt to deduct state funds to offset a purported consultancy fee of 418 billion naira arising from the London Paris Club loan refunds. The body asked the Federal Ministry of Justice, the CBN, and other relevant agencies to cease all actions on the matter, pending the conclusion of an appeal filed by the states. On the ongoing court action concerning the rights of states to collect VAT, the body noted that the legal position will affect the economic viability of some states, and it is therefore not opposed to a political resolution of the dispute to balance fiscal federalism with equity. On the issue of stamp duties, the body resolved, among other things, to send its position paper opposing the proposed amendments to the federal government, the National Assembly, and all state governors, and to seek legal action if the bill eventually crystallizes into an act. The body also resolved to advocate the continued devolution of powers from the federal to state governments, just as it recognizes the constitutional powers of the states to establish anti-corruption bodies. On the FIRS threat to recover unremitted tax deductions by states and local governments, the body stressed that state governments are equal and not subservient to the federal government. They therefore resolved to send a written response to the FIRS, highlighting the agency's erroneous position and that it lacks the powers to impose any penalty on the states, among other decisions. But let's look at how that meeting went. About 25 out of the 36 state attorneys general converged on Lagos for the meeting of the body of Attorneys General of States of the Federation, which was formed earlier this year. Also here are representatives of key stakeholders, from the executive to the bench, the bar, and others.
It's not easy to single you out.
The Attorney General of Lagos, who is the interim chairman of the body, says it was established as part of efforts to form a formidable force to take positions on legal issues, as well as to review legal actions taken on behalf of all states.
So that as a body, we can formally intervene in critical legal issues facing us as a nation. This will remain at the core of our convergence and deliberation. The forum has a number of cases before different courts, and these cases directly impact on the finances and the status of our states. So therefore, it is imperative that we all gather to ruminate over all these issues and to prefer solutions that would advance the rule of law in Nigeria.
The president of the bar, Olumide Apata, in his remarks, drew the attention of the body to some of the shortcomings that he has identified.
Honorable Attorneys General, while I have nothing but praise for most of you, I must also inform this body that it has not been smooth sailing all the way. Virtually everyone in this room is aware that at the start of our administration, we literally woke up one morning to the news that the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation had purported to unilaterally amend the rules of professional conduct with a view to whittling down the powers and influence of the NBA. After repeated assurances that this would be reversed, this was not honored. We were therefore constrained to approach the courts to resolve the impasse. Shockingly, the official line is that there was a meeting of the General Council of the Bar called where the decision to amend the RPC was taken. Thankfully, you, the State Attorney General, make up the General Council of the Bar, and we all know that no such meeting was held. There are also instances of actions by state governments that leave one with the irresistible conclusion that the governors of those states either fail to consult their attorneys general or the governors do not regard the Attorney General opinion, or worse still, the Attorney General is fully in support of the conduct. An illustrative example is the recent report that 4 members of staff of the National Industrial Court in Imo State were abducted while performing their lawful duty of enforcing the judgment in a suit against that state government on the 3rd of June 2020. A letter addressed to the Inspector General of Police disclosed that the staff were abducted and the coast official vehicle was snatched at gunpoint by officials of the Imo State government. The rule of law entails that no one is above the law, including the government, and everything must be done in accordance with the law. As a result of this unfortunate incident, the President of the NIC has ordered the indefinite closure of the Owerri division of the court, and this is sure to have severe consequences for the people of the state in terms of access to justice, and will also affect the revenue of lawyers. We therefore ask the question, where does the AG of Imo State stand on this matter?
The keynote speaker, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, is obviously still unhappy with the recent killing of some of his citizens.
I will want to urge you all to please rise for a minute silence for us to remember the 40 lives that those mindless animals snuffed off in Ondo State on the 5th of June 2022.
In his speech, the governor speaks to the issues of federalism, constitution amendment, and the role the body of attorneys general should play.
Our country looks up to us for direction. We must be courageous and forthright with dealing with issues. I know that we pretend, and this pretense suits most of us, a number of us, because once you have your person in power, you just kowtow and follow that trend. When you don't have, you criticize. But some of us, in or out of power, will say it without missing words, that the federalism that is being run by Nigeria is perverted. It is not right. Something has to be done.
The governor also restated the need for restructuring and the creation of state police.
Life and properties are in danger in all the states. If your state is better, you are lucky. In all the states, from Sokoto to Kaduna, from there come to Benue and Plateau. So how do you want to run this state of security? How do you want to manage it, without the state police? Without people who have understanding of their locality? I should be able to say that my life is in your hand and it will be protected. I'm not too sure we can say it in those states. I don't know another state that federal government will protect our lives and properties. We won't say it in those states. We cannot say it. Our experience has shown that it will not happen. Our experience in the state is very clear. I will say it without missing words. As I said to people, we have come to this country in peace. And people are bringing war to our doorsteps. For what reason? And you kill 40 people. All we are saying, as we used to say in those days, give us state police. All we are saying, one state police, that's all. No more. All this one. Other state police. We will create our own community police, give the community to us. We'll do it.
The host governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, emphasized the importance of the office of the Attorney General and encouraged the body to find legal ways to improve the relationship between the federal government and the states.
I think it's very, very important that we say it as it is. And that's why I cannot but agree with my brother with a lot of the things that he has put forward. But really, it's about you, our Attorney Generals. It's about that very, very important role that all of us that are governors, that are executives, have asked you to come and help us do. You know too well that in the Constitution, it's only Attorney General that the Constitution says we should appoint. Once you have the Attorney General with you, you don't even need commissioners or special advisors again. So that goes to explain, how important and how critical your roles are for us. And I keep saying this, the best executives, the best individuals get it all done when you have a good lawyer beside you, when you have a good legal view and opinion that is advising you and setting, you on the right path. And so all of the things that he had said this morning, are things that truly, really we require. We need you to be frank with us. We need you to be very objective. We need to be very critical, to ensure that indeed the promise that we have given to our people, because we have said that we want to come and lead, we want to come and govern, but you need to help us navigate and ensure that we're on the right path. We're doing the things, properly, and we're facing that job, without fear or favor.
In his response to the keynote address of Governor Akeredolu, the Attorney General of the Federation insists that governors cannot continue to agitate for restructuring and state police when they are responsible for the compromise and mismanagement of the current system.
So the major and fundamental question arising from this constitutional consideration is whether, indeed, a state governor that colonized the resources of the local government, that renders a local government inefficient and ineffective in the performance of its duties, security and otherwise, enjoys a moral standing to now claim and crave for restructuring against the background of the inherent abuse associated with his conduct, with particular regard to the corporate existence of a state. A further question is whether a state governor that undermines the democratic process, the rubbish, the mandate of the people, and in essence refuse to inaugurate members of the State House of Assembly that were elected, equally stands a moral ground to claim for restructuring against the background of the fact that he does not believe in allowing the system to effectively and efficiently operate. So it is against these major backgrounds that I think it is important to consider the restructuring claim, not only on the basis, perhaps, of the executive inefficiency, but a collective responsibility that has to do with our attitude as Nigerians. Now, that is the essence of public interest, the essence of interest of justice, and the essence of abuse. Our system is not operating efficiently and effectively fundamentally because by our attitude as leaders, by our attitude as governors and executive, we do not allow it. We do not allow the spirit, the constitutional spirit of efficiency of the system, we do not allow it to function. That is the naked truth about it.
At the end of the meeting, members also moved to institutionalize the body and establish a permanent secretariat with the Attorney General of Lagos to remain as substantive chairman till May 29, 2023. Welcome back. Let's now bring you some of the highlights from the opening session of the Law Week of the Nigerian Bar Association, Ikeja branch.
Beautiful presentation.
The Law Week attracted special guests, senior advocates, executive members of the branch and other members. It had the theme, looking backwards to move forward. The opening session is chaired by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Dele Adeshino. The keynote speaker, who represented the Ondo State Governor, speaks to the subtopic, Democratic Nigeria, have our lives really changed?
The choice of this topic is apt. Current happenings around the country should excite interrogatories on the utilitarian value of a political system which has yielded pervasive discontent in the land. So when we begin to romanticize the idea of democracy and we talk about, oh, is the kidney we should choose, periodic voting, like you obtain a form, 100 million naira for a job that you're going to earn 56 million naira in 4 years. As somebody sits somewhere pretending to be fighting corruption.
Other guest speakers also weigh in on the topic.
Mine will be by way of suggestions and to challenge our colleagues that we are not serious at all. Starting with Ondo, please tell Akiti to stop bomb attacks. We have to be scientific. Security is technology-based now. And please get those churches and mosques and owners of public places, including hotels, where you gather people. The criminals want to launch attacks where you can kill at least 50, 100 people. What do you do? What do they do in other parts of the world? It's to acquire gadgets. If there have been CCTV cameras in that St. Francis church, the criminals will have been caught. So please, let us acquire the gadget.
I worked in England for a long time, for 10 years. I worked in the government of England, of the United Kingdom. And I said to myself, they don't have perfect systems. They may never have. You know, the guys in Wales are still looking for devolution. The guys in Scotland are looking for a new country. Those agitations are there, but they understand one thing, that you only live for a period and you die. And that every society evolves when a generation decides to plant trees that it will not sit under. Until we get into that wavelength and stop this consumer mentality of feeding today and not thinking about tomorrow, this country will never rise.
Until we throw away this constitution and have a new constitution for ourselves, we will be nowhere. If you are living in New York, you have no business with what happens in Maryland. What's Joe Biden doing in Maryland? If you are in Atlanta, Georgia, the same thing. Let these governments of the states begin to develop at their own pace. The priority of one state may be different from that of the other. There is no uniformity in the federal system. We are not running a unitary system. And therefore, let us drive a constitution for Nigeria as members of the Nigerian Bar Association.
I feel pained that the ordinary people, the ordinary Nigerians, so to say, sometimes they don't see the difference between us and the people we are talking about. So they just see us as people who have just come to blow grammar. And at the end of the day, we'll be found wanting. I think we need to change that narrative. And we can start with us as individuals. For instance, starting with the NBA elections, let us not devote all of our energies and concerns to tribal groups and religious organizations and socializing. Everything I see now on the social media is that there's one barbecue something somewhere, there's one party somewhere. And I ask myself, is this all we are doing for the elections? What are the issues that are of interest to us that we are concerned about? So whoever is able to sponsor a good party, a good outing, a good sit-out, a good this, a concert, then that is the person that will win. I think we need to examine ourselves.
It was a very interactive session, which also saw other participants also share their views on the issue. At the end of the session, leaders of the branch speak on their next move.
The time has come for the young people as citizens of Nigeria to take their destiny in their own hands. First of all, the MBA Ikeja branch has what is on ground and in place to talk to the younger ones and get them interested even in the politics of 2023.
Questions or issues that arose in the course of the presentation of papers. We have a committee we refer to in Ikeja as Advocacy Committee. They are taking full stock. They will make a representation to the executive of the branch after the law week. And the working committee of the ESCO will take it up from there to address those issues.
And just before we go, a recap of some of the top trending legal stories.
We begin with the report that the Supreme Court has overruled Lagos State on its restriction of the use of the head covering, popularly known as hijab, by female Muslim students of public schools in the state. In a split decision of 5-2, a 7-member panel of the Supreme Court affirmed the July 21, 2016 judgment of the Court of Appeal Lagos, which set aside the October 17, 2014 judgment by Justice Grace Onyabo of the High Court of Lagos State, which upheld the hijab restriction. Justice Kudirat Kekere-Ekun, who wrote the lead majority judgment, which was read on Friday by Justice Tijani Abubakar, dismissed the appeal filed by Lagos State against the 2016 judgment of the Court of Appeal Lagos on the grounds that the appeal was without merit. In Edo State, the Academic Staff Union of Universities of the Ambrose Ali University, ECPOMA, has dragged the state governor, Godwin Obaseki, the Edo State government, and the Attorney General of the state to court over last week's ban on all union activities in all the state-owned tertiary institutions. In an originating summons before the Benin Division of the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, the chairman and Assistant Secretary of ASU, Dr. Cyril Ozegbe Onogbosele, and Dr. William Odion, respectively, who are claimants in the suit, want the court to determine whether the state government and others who are defendants have the power under Section 40 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, and Section 35, subsection 3 of the Trade Unions Act, Cap. T14, laws of the Federation of Nigeria, to suspend or prohibit trade union activities in Ambrose Ali University. They said in the event that the parts of the Constitution does not give such powers to the defendants, the court should declare their order on the ban of ASU activities as unconstitutional, illegal, null and void, and same is ultra-vires the powers of the defendants. In Abuja, the Federal High Court has convicted and sentenced 2 co-defendants in the charge filed by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency against the suspended DCP Abba Kyari over an alleged drug deal to 2 years imprisonment. Justice Emeka Nwite, in his judgment, said having admitted to committing the offense preferred against them in counts 5, 6, and 7 by the NDLEA, Chibuna Umebe and Emeka Ezenwanne, who are 6th and 7th defendants, are convicted accordingly. Justice Nwite thereafter sentenced them to 2 years imprisonment on each of counts 5, 6, and 7, but held that the terms of the sentence shall run concurrently. The sentence would commence from the day the defendants were arrested by the NDLEA. The convicts, who are 6th and 7th defendants respectively in the charge, are the 2 alleged drug barons arrested at the Akanu Ibiam International Airport in Enugu by the NDLEA. They have pleaded guilty to 5, 6, and 7 counts preferred against them by the Anti-Narcotic Agency. In other news, the President of Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Dongban Mensam, has set up the Ekiti State Governorship Election Tribunal to hear and determine petitions that may arise from the governorship election slated for Saturday, June the 18th, 2022. A statement by the Secretary of the Tribunal, Umar Abubakar, stated that Justice Dongban Mensam took the action pursuant to Section 285, subsection 2 and 3 of the 1999 Nigerian Constitution as amended and Section 130 of the Electoral Act 2022. And the Lagos State High Court is set to commence this year's vacation from July the 25th to September the 16th. This is contained in a notice of vacation made available to judiciary correspondents by the Assistant Director, Public Affairs, Lagos State Judiciary, Mrs. Ololade Ige. According to the notice signed by the Acting Chief Registrar Tajudeen Elias, the State Chief Judge, Justice Kazim Alogba, approved the annual vacation pursuant to Order 49, Rule 4, subsection D of the High Court of Lagos Civil Procedure Rules 2019. And we round off with the report that a UK court has ruled against Nigeria in the $1.7 billion suit against JP Morgan Chase Bank over the transfer of proceeds from the sale of OPL 245. Justice Sarah Cockerell of the Business and Property Courts of England and Wales Commercial Court held that the Nigerian government couldn't show that it had been defrauded. The federal government had sued JP Morgan, alleging that the bank ought to have known that there was corruption and fraud in the transaction, which saw Malibu sell its 100% in OPL 245 to Shell and ENI for $1.1 billion.
That's the program this week. Don't forget that you can watch again this episode of the program and past ones on our YouTube page. I am Shola Shaylee. Thank you for watching.